morning. Thanks for coming. Thank you. I'd like to welcome you all on behalf of the Ontario Public Service and the OPS Pride Network. We are here today to honor a symbol of resiliency, to celebrate diversity, equity, and inclusion. But even more than that, we are here to stand proud of who we are and how we love, finding comfort together under these colors that unite us, our community, to feel safety and security in an increasingly hazardous world. We'll be hearing from Katie Ayers, Chair of the OPS Transport Network, Deputy Minister Deborah Richardson of the Treasury Board Secretariat. We hope to hear from the Right Reverend Kevin Robinson, Anglican Diocese of Toronto, and Jane Thuraqua, Board of Directors, Dignity Network Canada, as well as members of our provincial parliament from across the political spectrum. But first, before we begin, I would like to introduce the Honourable Ted Arnott, Speaker of the Legislative Assembly, to get us started. Ted.
Well, thank you, Freya. Good morning and welcome. It's my great pleasure as Speaker of the Legislative Assembly of Ontario to join you today as we celebrate Pride Month and raise the Progress Pride flag here at Queen's Park. And I know that I speak for all 124 members of Provincial Parliament when I say that we are delighted to have you here at the Legislative Assembly of Ontario, our seat of government and the majestic symbol of parliamentary democracy in our province. I want to acknowledge that we are meeting today on lands traditionally inhabited by Indigenous peoples. We pay our respects to the many Indigenous nations who gathered here and continue to gather here, including the Mississaugas of the Credit. Today, we join the 2S LGBTQIA+ community and their families in celebration and stand with them in solidarity. Here today, as the flag is raised and flies, the colors of tolerance, diversity, love, and compassion are all displayed. The rainbow flag is an affirmation of identity. It speaks to everyone, and it includes everyone, because all of us, each and every one of us, should be proud of who we are. Today we were reminded of the Ontario that welcomes everyone, and together we stand in support of inclusion, tolerance, acceptance, respect, and compassion. This is also an opportunity to acknowledge the work of those who have fought and continue to fight against discrimination. Our thoughts are especially with those who are no longer with us to mark this occasion. Together, we share in celebrating Ontario's 2S LGBTQIA+ community and the history, culture, and diversity of community members. Diversity has been and remains one of Ontario's great strengths. La diversité était et demeure une des grandes forces de l'Ontario. Et aujourd'hui, c'est un grand privilège pour moi d'être ici avec vous. The 2S LGBTQIA+ community has always been known for the qualities of resilience, courage, and persistence in the quest for understanding and acceptance and in the pursuit of equality. It hasn't been easy, I know that. In fact, it's been very, very hard, and we have seen many recent examples that show that hate and misunderstanding are still present in our society. There will always be more to do, but we are grateful for all that you have done and that all that you continue to do to strengthen our province. Now it's my honor to call forward the organizer of today's flag raising, Freya Perry of the OPS Pride Network, to present a certificate in recognition of this special day, and it reads as follows. In celebration of Pride Month, it's my great pleasure on behalf of the Legislative Assembly of Ontario to mark this important occasion with you. Thank you and happy Pride Month.
Thank you so much. I would like to introduce my good friend, Chair of the OPS Transport Network, Katie Ayers, to give us some remarks.
Thank you, Freya, and thank you all for taking the time to attend this morning's flag raising. I'm honored to have been asked to make remarks at this ceremony where, for the first time, we raised the Progress Pride flag at Queen's Park to recognize and celebrate Pride Month. Unfortunately, while the intersex inclusive Progress Pride flag will be flying above Queen's Park for the next week, the reality for a lot of the members of the queer community, is that the past 12 months have felt like a frighteningly large step backwards. In the United States, it appears quite likely this summer that the Supreme Court will overturn public accommodation laws that prevent public businesses from discriminating against people on the basis of sexual orientation. Tennessee's Attorney General has announced plans to appeal the ruling that blocked that state's anti-drag laws. And perhaps most shockingly, more than 530 anti-LGBTQ bills have been proposed this year already, most of which specifically target the trans community.
Shame! Shame!
While some of these bills have been defeated, more than 80 explicitly anti-trans bills have been passed, which has already tripled the number that passed in 2022. A number of these ban gender-affirming care for children, but we're also seeing far-reaching bills, such as in Florida, which has enacted a trans bathroom ban, eliminated more than 80% of gender-affirming healthcare for adults, and endangered the custody of parents who affirm the identities of their trans children. This is reflective of a concerted and an organized attack against all trans people. Furthermore, this anti-queer legislative push has made headway in Canada. After 10 years of drafting Policy 713 and 3 years of it being in effect with essentially no genuine complaints, New Brunswick's government nevertheless decided to remove protections in the bill that protected the participation of trans students in high school sports and provided protections at school to create a safe space at a school for a child who may not have a supportive environment at home to safely explore their gender identity or openly live in their authentic gender. Additionally, a legislative candidate in Alberta who compared trans children to, feces in cookie batter convincingly won her riding in this year's election. And here in Ontario, we've seen school boards and towns vote against and ban the flying of the Pride flag this month. It is hard to underscore how significantly the landscape has changed for trans people and the queer community in the last year. Our access to gender-affirming healthcare, our ability to play sports, and our access to bathrooms are all being weaponized in a culture war and being placed at the center of a disingenuous moral panic. Even if we are not affected specifically by these bills living in Ontario, they can still impact us, as these efforts are aimed at driving trans people back into the closet and making our public lives as difficult, as challenging, and as precarious as possible. And furthermore, this anti-2S LGBTQIA+ push most deeply impacts the most vulnerable members of our community: Two-Spirit members of Indigenous communities, Black trans women, queer immigrants and refugees, and the queer disabled community. I firmly believe that in the long term, the queer community will see continued progress with ongoing respect and recognition for our rights, our dignity, our art, and our ability to live authentically in public and to love authentically in public. I'm hopeful we will see greater recognition of and more efforts to address the magnitude of ways, large and small, that a predominantly straight and cisgendered society can still marginalize and exclude us. In Ontario, we have seen all political parties express support for our rights and treat us as an integral part of the tapestry that makes up this wonderful province. We need statements and actions of support, such as this flag raising, but also much more, to demonstrate the commitment that all the political parties have shown to the queer community. Continued progress is not a guarantee, nor is it an inevitability. We need ongoing and meaningful vigilance against the dangers posed by the recent increase in attacks against members of the queer and trans community. I am hopeful that all of this province's political parties will continue to show a commitment to the principles of equality, dignity, and the full rights and participation in society for all 2S LGBTQIA+ people. I cherish my fellow members of the queer community, and I hope we all celebrate our identities and our love this month and throughout the year. The resilience people are showing in the face of continued attacks against other members of the queer community is inspiring. It inspires and it moves me, and it motivates me to want to do more for the community. I hope you all take the time this month to recognize what we have gone through in the past and the challenges we continue to face, and take this opportunity to celebrate our identities, our love, and our existence. Thank you for providing me with this privilege to speak. I wish you all a happy Pride.
Thank you so much, Katie. That's wonderful. And now, for the raising of the flags, which you've all come to see, I'd like to introduce proud members of our OPS Pride Network community, Sadie Lopshinoff, Sherry Krell, and Brandon Leones, to raise the flag. And now it's my great pleasure to introduce a longtime ally, a sponsor of the OPS Pride Network, Deputy Minister Deborah Richardson of the Treasury Board Secretariat.
Good morning. Good morning. Nin Dalawisi Wabano Nungaskwe, Delaywe when big as you wick. My name is Deborah Richardson, and I'm from the Pabonneau First Nation in New Brunswick, proud Mi'kmaq woman, and a proud ally of the community. So Secretary of Cabinet Michelle D'Emmanuel is out of town, otherwise there was no way she would have missed this event. All of us who were here last year, it was very moving, and this year, Katie, thank you for your words, very much appreciated. I want to thank the OPS Pride for bringing us together to celebrate Pride Month. OPS Pride always does such incredible work, and people will notice that Minister Ford is actually wearing the Positive Space pin, which is the training that staff do on a volunteer basis to really increase awareness and understanding of the Pride community. Pride means a lot to different people. We heard from Katie in terms of some of the things that always should be front and foremost in our minds. It's a celebration of diversity, a pledge to equity, a commitment to ensuring that people feel seen and that they belong, and an opportunity to honor the past, and a chance to acknowledge and highlight ongoing challenges still endured by the community. Today's flag raising, and we heard it, we were so excited when we saw the flag raise up. It represents our promise to celebrate, learn, and grow as individuals and an organization in the OPS, and as a province, and as a community together. We still have lots of work to do, and we heard that loud and clear, and we know that just from looking around us. But it's also important to celebrate the future of what we see in front of us. It's amazing. And let's take a moment to reflect how we can strengthen our commitment to diversity, inclusion, and equity so that we can continue to build a better future. And we see the reason for it right in front of us. Thanks so much for everyone for coming today, and again to the OPS Pride Network for your help in making this event so special. And I really encourage all of you that are here today to take every opportunity, not just this month, but every single day, to learn more and to show the community how much that we support them. So wishing everyone a safe and happy Pride Month. Woo!
I would now like to welcome members of the Provincial Parliament to give a few remarks. Starting off, the Honourable Michael Ford, Minister of Citizenship, Multiculturalism of the Progressive Conservative Party of Ontario.
Well, thank you very much, Rhea, and good morning, everyone. What a beautiful day it is to raise the Progress Pride flag here at Queen's Park, high above the legislature, which is a pillar of democracy, but inclusion, and the essence of what Ontario is to be one of the most inclusive places in the world. But as introduced, good morning. I am Ontario's Minister of Citizenship and Multiculturalism, and I am honored to be here this morning at Queen's Park with all of you, with my government, opposition, and all colleagues of the Legislative Assembly of Ontario to raise the Progress Pride flag. Ontario is incredibly fortunate to be home to a strong and vibrant 2S LGBTQIA+ community who have brought so much joy, color, and love to our great province. Today, we gather to recognize and celebrate love, inclusion, and the many ways in which the community has shaped Ontario, strengthen our cultural fabric, contribute to its economic prosperity, and make it a more welcoming place for all people. Throughout Pride Month, people across the province will proudly wave the rainbow flags, the Progress Pride flag, and as a symbol of hope, pride, and resilience. These colors represent the diversity within the community and celebrate the major leaps that have been made. But it also represents the countless struggles the community has faced and overcome, and the strength, courage, and resilience of those who have paved the way forward to today. Pride Month is more than a celebration. It is a reminder of the ongoing work that remains to create a more inclusive and accepting society. It is a call to action for all of us to stand up against hate, discrimination, and intolerance wherever it may exist across our beautiful province. It is an opportunity to educate ourselves and others, build bridges of understanding and empathy, and to do better today than we did yesterday. Our government, and I believe all parliamentarians, believe that all Ontarians should be able to fully and freely express themselves and love whoever they choose. We will continue to celebrate Ontario's 2S LGBTQIA+ community and work together as allies and partners to build a stronger Ontario where everyone feels safe, included, and accepted, no matter who they love, where they come from, or what God they worship. In closing, thank you all for taking the time to be here this morning. Let us continue to embrace and celebrate our differences and which makes us stronger, not weaker. Thank you and happy Pride Month.
Thank you so much. I'd now like to introduce Kristen Wong-Tam of the NDP Party of Ontario.
Everyone is clearly much taller than myself. Hi everyone, have a wonderful morning, and it's so great to have you here on the front lawns of Queen's Park, the House of Democracy, and the symbol of what drives Ontario forward, which is all of you, quite honestly. It's a real honor to be here with all of you. I'm actually joined at the podium with a number of my colleagues, and I want to say that Butila Karpoche, Joe Andrew, who is here, as well as Terence Kernahan, another member of the Ontario NDP Queer Caucus has joined us. We do have a Queer Caucus. We're large enough to have one. we hope to continue to grow it. So this is a real honor for me in particular, because I used to be at City Council, and for the past 12 years I was sort of the person who had to raise the rainbow flag, and I did all that work, which included making sure that the Toronto Public Service was there in full force, and they certainly were. So coming to Queen's Park and seeing all of you always come out to support the community is really quite encouraging, and yet I know that there's many more of you. What I'd like to do in the years preceding is that work with the Ontario Public Service, who does such an exceptional job of bringing us together, but also to work with them to grow our flag raising ceremony, to make sure that it's not just a moment in time, but rather a full afternoon, and maybe there's a barbecue and a picnic, just like it first happened in 1981, when a bunch of queers and trans people took over to the island, on Toronto Islands, and held the very first Toronto Pride Day event, where 1,500, yes, 1,500 brave individuals decided to show up and say, we demand our human rights and we deserve to be treated with dignity and respect. Can you imagine how much courage it took for them to muster up that energy to show up together to say that they deserve their rights? And subsequently, it has grown. We have a beautiful community that continues to grow, and yet we know, despite all that historical progress, we now see some of our rights being eroded. And as so poignantly spoken about prior, is that we're seeing that now happening right here in Canada. So our job is just getting going. We are never going to go back in the closet. I don't know about you, but I don't like it in there. It took me 16 years to come out, so there's no damn way I'm going back. But my wife and I have a 4-year-old son, and I want to make sure that he and his peers grow up in a world, in a Canada and a province in Ontario, that actually is going to affirm him and his queer family. And that's why we have to get louder, prouder, and never back down. And sometimes, yes, it's going to get a little bit confrontational. Not today. Today is all about the love and the rainbow. But we know that there's a call to action. And I'm really proud to be joined here with 34 members of the clergy from different Anglican, United, Presbyterian, Lutheran faiths, Christian denominations who are here. And they're going to be speaking in a little short order. But we have been working together because the religious right has been attacking our human rights. And when religious attacks come our way, then it needs a religious response. And I'm so proud that our clergy members are here to support us, as they do every single day. It goes without saying that our work is just beginning. It feels like it's been a long time coming. But I want to recognize that the work that the Ontario Public Service, if I may just for a moment, I've been here for 1 year. You are exceptional. I thought I worked with some pretty darn good people at the City of Toronto, but boy, I have learned a lot from you. The way you have carried on and delivered public services to residents in Ontario throughout the pandemic, and the challenges that you rose up to face against, have just been inspiring. You are the very best public servants in the country, if not North America, in the world, and I'm so proud to work with each and every one of you. I'm so proud of the work that you do in your workplace to make sure it's affirming and inclusive. Thank you for doing that incredibly difficult work, and it's our work together, which is why all the political parties stand with you today. And I'm very proud to know that every single party here believes in an Ontario that is going to be affirming and inclusive and fair and just. There are a few community members I want to recognize. Community organizations, including Pride Toronto, the Dignity Network, and Community One. I ran into these fruits on the weekend in the York Region Pride, and I said, hey, are you coming to Queen's Park for the flag raising? They said, what time? And here they are. And that's what happened. happen with our community. We look out for each other, we stand up for each other, and that's what we're going to continue to do. So I want to recognize that we have a little certificate. We hand out lots of pieces of paper as politicians. I have yet to figure out why we don't encase it in encrusted 24 karat, but you know what, we'll get there. Or at least a little bit of rainbow or fairy dust, right, sparkles. But Freya, where is Freya Perry? Oh, Freya. Freya has been exceptional to work with. I was telling her that we wanted to bring on a few clergy members, and then I said, oh, it's going to be a handful, and then it kept growing, and it kept growing, and it kept growing, and now we have 34 who are going to join us at the reception, right? Good, don't worry, we're picking up part of the tab. But they are going to be telling you about an incredible endeavor that they've worked on, which is a unity statement that has now been signed by 750 clergy members from 12 denominations from coast to coast to coast, and they are standing up for us across the country. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you so much. It's my honor to introduce our next speaker, Ted Chu of the Ontario Liberal Party.
Thanks. Thank you all for being here today. I'm proud to celebrate Pride Month alongside my Liberal colleagues. MPP Stephanie Bowman and MPP Adil Shamji are here with me today, and with all of our 2S lgbtqia plus friends and neighbors. I'm from Kingston, so I've got the we just had a great parade over the weekend. But this month and every other month we have an obligation to uplift our communities that have for far too long had their voices diminished. During Pride Month, we celebrate the strength, achievements, and diversity of the 2S lgbtqia plus community. With discrimination in the news recently, it is vital to come together and show the beauty and talent of the community while advocating for a more inclusive future for all. It doesn't require compromise to respect an individual. Today, I, on behalf of the entire Ontario Liberal Caucus, reaffirm our support for Pride Month and for ensuring that the 2S lgbtqia plus community is seen and heard, so that our friends and future generations who too often face barriers with letting their true selves shine might see themselves represented as leaders and role models in our community. That's what Pride is all about. The parades are fantastic and the community spirit is inspiring, but most importantly, it's a chance for us to make everyone feel welcome. Pride Month is a time to reaffirm our support of the community that has long been an integral part of who we are. Let's raise our voices so others might be seen, might see them and hear them. To all my friends, happy Pride. Be safe, be happy, and always be yourself. Thank you. And Freya, we have some certificates. Where did Freya go?
Don't take it out. Take it out. Yeah, like that. Do you mind? Do you mind? Got the record retention on those certificates. Exactly.
Unfortunately, I think our Green Party representative could not make it here today. So I'd like to move on to our next speaker. But again, first, I'd just like to give a shout out, a special welcome to former MPP, the Reverend Sherry DeNovo. Thank you for coming out. Our next speaker is supposed to be the Right Reverend Kevin Robertson. I don't know if he made it today either.
Stuck in an Uber.
Stuck in an Uber. Okay, so as a substitution, I understand we have Barbara, excuse me, on the Doborowski. Close enough? Okay. President of Ontario English Anglican Catholic Teachers Association. Catholic Teachers Association. Thank you.
Hi everyone. So I'm Barb Dobrowolski, and I am the president of the Ontario English Catholic Teachers Association, and I'm here representing 45,000 Catholic teachers in schools across Ontario. I want to, on their behalf, wish everyone a fabulous Pride Month, and say to all LGBTQ students and educators and communities, know that you are valued, you are loved, and you are supported. Each and every day, Catholic teachers try to create a safe space in an environment in our schools, and we imbue our classrooms and schools with respect and inclusivity in keeping with our faith. I'm going to underline that, in keeping with our faith and belief that everyone is deserving of God's love. And while the vast majority of Catholic school boards in Ontario already fly the Pride flag, that's 22 out of 29 of them, there are still a small number that don't. So today, Catholic teachers add our voice to urge all Catholic school boards to fly the Pride flag. Displaying the Pride flag outside of our schools is a visual representation, an indication to students, educators, families, everyone, of our commitment to promoting respect, human rights, and a culture in our schools that celebrates diversity and contributes to creating a more inclusive society. It sends a strong public message that we as a Catholic community are committed to supporting and advancing the rights of 2S LGBTQIA+ and equity-deserving communities within our publicly funded Catholic education system and beyond. And actions speak more powerfully than words, and the time for action is now. So I thank you for this time to address you, and I wish everyone a happy and safe Pride Month, and know that Catholic teachers do support you.
Uber has arrived. So, a little bit belatedly, I'd like to welcome Bishop Reverend Kevin Robertson, please.
Thank you so much, and my apologies for being late. I was stuck in an Uber, and I'm here, and I'm so happy to be here. Happy Pride. It is really great to be here. I think I got asked to speak today on behalf of, I know I got asked to speak today on behalf of many Christian leaders who have signed a really important unity statement in the last couple of days. And it's just incredible that we, this movement just got started about a week ago, and I want to thank MPP Kristen Wong-Tam for getting the ball rolling with other faith leaders. We had about 500 signatures in the first couple of days. Now we have over 750 from 12 Christian denominations and churches and communities across this province, which is absolutely amazing. And as of this morning, we have over 750 clergy and faith leaders who have signed that document. And not only from Ontario, but from all 10 Canadian provinces and also from Yukon, which is just incredible. So, one of the reasons I got asked to speak today is because I am the first and only openly gay bishop in the Anglican Church of Canada. Thank you. So I'm here today to speak not only on behalf of my own family, which includes my husband and our two 11-year-old twins, who are very proud of the fact that we're gathering here today to raise this flag. My brother, the uncle of our twins, is here as well. But much more importantly than that, I'm here to speak on behalf of all those people who have signed, and more importantly, on behalf of all queer and questioning kids who really need to know that they are valued, that they are fully human, that they are loved by God, and that their full dignity and respect is of worth and of value, and they are full members of our community, and they are full members of our church community as well. So, a couple of quick things about this unity statement. I've been told I only have 2 minutes, one is probably gone. This message that we've signed, all of us, is about inclusive love and acceptance. It's about reading the Bible in a way that sees God's love as prevailing and pervasive, that God's love is for everyone. It affirms the sacred worth and human dignity of every person. It means that these churches and all these leaders who have signed this stand in solidarity and support with the entire 2S LGBTQI+ community. It commits us to pastoral care and inclusion, to dialogue and reconciliation, and to prayer and to action. So, for all of you who are out there who are part of church communities, please sign this unity statement. And to our elected members who are here today or will hear this message later on, we encourage you, we urge you to stand with our community. We need everybody to do more. We need not only talk, but we also need action. And as people of Christian faith, we owe our kids, we owe the entire 2S LGBTQI+ siblings not only talk, but that action that we are all a part of today. So a very happy Pride to all of you. We stand with you, and God loves you.
I'd just like to offer another quick thank you to Stefan Sarrazin, who made the trip all the way from Eastern Ontario, Conservative MPP. And now it's my great pleasure to introduce Jane Thiraqua. She is the Global Partnerships Coordinator at Kairos Canada, leading collaborative women, peace and security programs with participating grassroots women's organizations, women and women human rights and defenders in the Global South. Jane also actively supports LGBTQI+ rights through various volunteer roles in communities locally and internationally, including her position as a member of the Board of Directors of Dignity Network Canada. A great pleasure to introduce Jane Thiraqua.
Thank you, Freya. Thank you so much. It's such an honor to be here today, to be part of this celebration. And I hope that everybody is enjoying this beautiful weather. No Monday blues for sure. And I'm so glad to be joined today by my family, my partner Jay, my niece Mary, and my little daughter Shiko. I am a board member of Dignity Network Canada, which includes 61 organizations across Canada involved in advancing human rights at the global level on the basis of sexual orientation, gender identity, expression, and sex characteristics. Dignity Network brings together these organizations to work in solidarity, to advocate and to encourage support for LGBTIQ+ human rights around the world. As someone who identifies as part of the LGBTIQ community, proud lesbian, I recognize that in many parts of the world, including in my own place of origin in Kenya, LGBTIQ+ rights are taking big steps backwards. Bigotry, exclusion, criminalization, and persecution of LGBTIQ people continue to be pervasive, with issues such as anti-trans bills and attacks on gender-affirming care, and Uganda's tragic Anti-Homosexuality Act as a recent stark reminder. The backlash against LGBTIQ rights happening around the world is majorly based on misinformation, false stereotypes, and rhetoric depicting LGBTIQ people as a threat to children or quote-unquote traditional family. We are certainly not immune from it here in Ontario and across Canada. Colonial and neo-colonial forces, cis heteropatriarchy, white supremacy, systemic racism, transphobia and homophobia is further emboldening those who would seek to oppose inclusion within the community and to inhibit the inclusion of 2S LGBTIQ communities in Canada and globally. The fight for equality doesn't stop at our borders, and our foreign policy should certainly reflect that. If we want to be a global leader on human rights, then we have to be steadfast and committed to advancing respect for human rights and fundamental freedoms in Canada and globally. For leaders and businesses, you can make sure you practice allyship, not just perform it. Help make sure Pride is about more than rainbow products. It's about actual progress, both by celebrating our community and speaking out against intersecting oppressions. As individuals, we can get active in our neighborhood, the schools that we pass, the houses of worship where we pray, the community centers that we frequent that could use our support. Raising this flag is more important than ever. We will stand in solidarity and support with the LGBTIQ communities all over the world without exception, unwavering in our values, to stand up for those who are being persecuted simply for being who they are, and listening to LGBTIQ people and supporting their organizing too are themselves a radical act. So by raising this flag, we honor the experiences, resiliency, and determination of Two-Spirit, gay, lesbian, bisexual, trans, and queer people, and the experiences particularly of Black, Indigenous, and racialized people in the 2SLGBTI community. I'm so proud to join all of you today to raise this Progress Pride flag, as this is a political act. I also want to focus on the positive by reflecting on how fortunate we all are to be able to gather here on a beautiful day with no fear of arrest or harassment, in the spirit of comradeship, to commemorate and honor this month. I am honored to know, to be close to, and to be championed by a community that is so resilient and at the same time finds room in their hearts to be so loving and giving. Your fierce determination in the face of societal hostility shows us all that the definition of love is limitless. You are loved and you belong. Happy Pride, everybody. Asante sana.
And that concludes our ceremony. I'd like to thank all our speakers for their wonderful, heartfelt reflections and words. And I'd like to thank all of you for coming out. Thank you so much, everyone.